Greetings, this is Frosty Thundertrod, Telnor Beastmaster of the Thunder Guard, and this is this weekend testing, or last weekend testing, for August 3rd to August 9th, 2025. I'm, of course, on Schultz, record this video, doing a little bit of scenic standing around outside of Halcyon. So this week I worked 66 hours at work, so I put in relatively few hours on the PTR, but I did try to get a few in when I could. There was a few focus tests. We had a focus test for the dynamic gridding again. It seemed to have worked well. There was another test of the guild storage system, which I was not able to get in to participate in. That was over by the time I got home from work. We had a focused test on the level 1 experience. I participated in that with a mage. I found the level 1 experience to be fairly decent. The biggest problem I ran into was the fact that leveling was faster than my ability to gain experience. Not experience, gear. So at some point I had to stop leveling to go craft gear. As it is now, you're kind of forced to participate in pocket dungeons or point of interest farming to get gear. There are a few drops that you can find in the world, and there are just a few quests where you can get gear, but there's not enough, and what you get is relatively limited. In fact, if you go through Lion's Hold, you don't get hardly any gear whatsoever. You got to go to Semaea's Hope in order to get most of it. So I think that is a huge problem. The fact that I have to stop leveling up Venture class to make a point to go level up crafting. Because otherwise, by the time you can craft level 1 to 10 gear, you're already going to be in the 10 to 20 range, and by the time you can do 10 to 20 gear, you're going to be pretty darn close to 20. Also, currently, this is supposedly still being worked out, but Steven has said multiple times that crafters create the best shit. But so far, I have to say crafters just create the standard shit. The best shit is stuff that you get in the pocket dungeons or even the full dungeons. You can craft a enchanted copper mace, high quality, a blue or red or whatever grade you want, and then you can use enchantment scrolls to make it better. But in the end, you'd still be better off just getting a Sanctus Mace and then using enchanting scrolls on that. So, right now, crafters don't create the best shit, they create the standard shit. There might be a point for that, but I don't see it right now. There is wear and tear in game, but it's not permanent. Anything that breaks can just be instantly repaired at any vendor. And unless you're corrupted, you never drop gear. My cat decided to knock half of everything off my desk. So that needs some more refinement, I think. It's fine if I can only craft, standard gear, when I'm 1 to 10. As long as I'm crafting 1 to 10 standard gear while I actually am 1 to 10, not crafting standard 1 to 10 gear when I'm 10 to 20. Other changes that were made is some of the level scaling has been tampered back. So it's not completely impossible to fight something that's 2 levels higher than you anymore. And at the same token, you can't just wade into groups of enemies that are 3 levels lower than you with absolutely no fear at all. Because for a while I was doing that with my melee mage. I was playing a mage with a greatsword. I was just, wandering into, gathering up groups of mobs and, just whacking them down with my greatsword, auto-attacking them down. And I really felt no danger whatsoever. So that's been scaled back, which I think is a good change because as a player, I want a challenge. I want to be able to, have to, when I fight a mob the same level as me, I want to think, what, I gotta actually play or I might die. I also want to be able to fight a mob that's a little bit higher level than me with the understanding that, if I play this right, if I get off the right moves at the right time, use the right strategy, I can still win. And when I do have to grind through mobs, I still want to have to pay attention to what I'm doing, not just, turn on auto attack and, send a text message while my character just, a melee down, auto attacks down, 3 or 4 monsters. So hopefully this will be a good improvement. I'd like to see level scaling of this type completely disappear from the game. I don't think it fits in here, but I'm not the one making it. I'm just the sucker that paid for it. Another change that was made is some of the harvesting has been blended together. Copper nodes and zinc nodes, basically all the metal and all the gemstone nodes have been removed. So now for tier 1 to get copper and to get copper and basalt, you mine basalt. To get zinc, granite, and rubies, you mine granite. So this gives you actually more experience per harvest because the experience you get per harvest is based on how many items you gather. So if you go, like this is a full-size basalt node, this will yield 5. On PTR, this will yield 5 basalt. Most likely it will yield 5 copper as well. So for one harvest I get 10 items for 10 bits of XP instead of just 5. And then if you harvest granite, you get up to 15 because you can get 5 granite, 5 zinc, and 5 rubies. The smaller nodes, of course, only give 2. Now the metal and the gems are just a chance. But most of the time you will get the metal. And I would say about half or just below half you'll get the gem. Although sometimes the gem, like this here, this would yield 2. This one will yield 5. So you can see the size difference in the nodes. And sometimes the gems, even though it's a large node, the gems only drop 2 gems instead of 5 gems. And it still seems that increased rarity drops are still a little bit too high. I was getting a lot of the yellow and the purple, a lot of blue. I was getting more green than I was just the base material. I know there is exact names for the quality grades, but it just simply doesn't matter. All I care about is it goes green, blue, yellow, purple. The exact names doesn't matter because I have to mouse over it to see the name. I can see the color of it right on the icon. But I think that's a positive change, and that will make it a lot quicker to increase your gathering XP and even your adventuring XP if you want to focus more on gathering and harvesting instead of adventuring. Unusually large number of people on Shoal today, which kind of don't make sense because there hasn't been an update to Shoal in, I'd say, almost 2 months now, I think was the last update. So this is essentially just a dead server that's going to be wiped when Phase 3 starts. So I just use it to come over here and record videos since there's still a visual NDA on the public test server. But that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching.